Hello everyone, I'm Epicharismatic, and today I'm going to talk about the recent discussions going on about Billie Eilish and Jesse Rutherford and my opinions on that. So I want to start by saying that I am a Jesse fan. I know. He is not making us look good right now. I'm specifically more so a fan of the Neighbourhood. I've been listening to them since 2013, since Afraid came out, and then of course Sweater Weather. And I've been loving that band's music ever since. To this day, I still love their music. And I even like Jesse's solo career, specifically with his Ampersand album. I think it's an Ampersand, or he calls it the And album. I'm not really sure, but I am a fan. And first and foremost, as a fan, I must say I am disgusted. Like that meme. I remember when the photos first dropped of Jesse and Billie hanging out together and going on dates and being like, oh, this is not a good look. And I'm not just focused on appearances. I'm just sitting here going, oh man, he's really showing himself. And something that I noticed as a fan is that the second I saw those photos of Jesse and Billie together, I immediately remembered an interview from, I want to say it's from 2013, maybe it's from 2015. And I looked high and low all over the internet for it, and I just cannot find it. But if anybody remembers this interview, please send it to me, or just let me know that you also remember it so that I don't sound like a crazy person. But I distinctly remember Jesse saying something about how he was grateful for how successful that Sweater Weather was as a single, but that he wished it was bigger because he always wanted and viewed himself as someone who's going to be Justin Timberlake level successful. I remember him saying that he wanted to be as famous as Justin Timberlake, wanted to be on that level, and that he was a little disappointed that the highest that he's ever gotten when it comes to his music is Sweater Weather. And I remember just being like, that's weird. Fame is his primary motivation. I actually remember at that time, I was in high school at the time, I remember like almost feeling a little bit bad for him because I knew he was nowhere near Justin Timberlake level success. He wasn't even mainstream. If you're not mainstream, you're not close to somebody like Justin Timberlake. You're just not. He was really big as an underground artist, but he didn't even hit mainstream yet. So that's nothing. I remember that fact about him just stuck in my mind. Like, this is a guy who wants to be famous, who really craves fame and really wants it. That is something that stuck with me ever since I read that interview 8 to 10 years ago. And so when I saw those photos of him and Billie walking around and hanging out, instantly I knew he's here for clout. He is here for clout. That's what I was thinking. I'm sure other people thought it too, because it's not a surprise that some, generally speaking, a nobody all of a sudden is written in articles by People magazine and the Today Show and all these major news and entertainment publications. And of course, he then is able to debut that relationship, him and Billie, on the red carpet. And of course, that's gonna fuel his ego even more. That's gonna make him even more famous, And I think my suspicion is also supported by the fact that the relationship only lasted about 7 months, maybe a bit longer, didn't even last a full year. And I don't judge Billie for that. I want to tell you that right now. I, again, truly believe that this was a clout relationship on Jesse's end. And he's gotten a lot of people to talk about him and a lot of people to know his name specifically, and not just the name of the band that he fronted for so many years, The Neighbourhood. And you know what? He's getting ears. He's getting listeners on his solo work. He's getting the fame that he's always craved. And so one other thing about him being somebody who's fame hungry, it is not just the article that I read 8 to 10 years ago. I went through the liberty of looking up his astrological chart, his birth chart. And I have to tell you, you will not like this chart. This is not the chart of somebody who will be a good person in a relationship. I'm sorry. That's very dramatic. I can't sit here and talk about people like that. I mean, I can, but it's kind of wrong. I don't feel bad, though, because he seems to, at the very least, be a sus person, and at the very worst, be a very bad person. So I don't care. Look at this chart. Look at this chart. Look how many Leo placements. Too many. You would think he would be Michael Jackson level famous with this many Leo placements, because if you remember, the Leo sign is a sign of fame. And maybe this is why he wants fame so bad, is because he almost was destined for it since birth. Look at this. His sun is in Leo, his Mercury is in Leo, his Venus is in Leo, his Jupiter is in Leo. What does this mean? Who he is as a person is a Leo. The way he communicates is like a Leo. The way he loves is like a Leo. And I forgot what Jupiter is. I totally forgot. I'm blanking. I don't remember. The way he gains knowledge is in a Leo way. If that's what Jupiter is. This is a disaster. Bro, his midheaven is in Leo. His midheaven. The point of his whole career is to just be famous. Because that's basically what your midheaven is. It's your career. Dude. And his rising is in Scorpio? Oh. This is not good. This is not good. So yeah. So he got his little paparazzi shots of him and Billie going out on a date, eating dinner at a restaurant or something like that. He got his little photo op, if you will. And unfortunately, that wasn't enough for him. You would think that would be enough for him. He gets to date this beautiful young woman who is extremely famous and who is obsessed with him, low-key. I don't want to say obsessed. I would say more so she's a fan. So she loves him the way fans love their idols. So it's obsession. I don't think she's crazy or anything with it, but I'm just saying obsessed in terms of how strongly she feels towards him. So I want to talk about the lyrics to this infamous song that people are talking about and give my 2 cents on it. I'm gonna repeat it now, but I'm cringing at the thought of even having to say these words out loud. He says, "I'm at the top, you're at the bottom, it's a different point of view. Calling out and one every time I point and shoot. On the clock, nonstop, I keep winning, I can't lose. Feel like Alejandro when she gaga on my goo." Oh, I'm sorry. The most interesting thing about these lyrics isn't even the Alejandro line. It's the line, "I'm at the top, you're at the bottom." He must be speaking literally because Billie Eilish is way more famous than he is and is way more successful than he is. And he will never reach her level of success and fame. So he must be speaking literally. There's no way. Unless he really is that delulu, he's really that level of delusional, that after dating Billie, he thinks he's on top. Which is funny because is that not what Billie said herself about dating ugly men? She said, you give an ugly guy a chance and he thinks he rules the world.
Why is every pretty girl with a horrible looking man? I don't understand. Listen, I'm not shaming people for their looks, but I am though. You give an ugly guy a chance, he thinks he rules the world. I swear to God.
And also people say that on social media too. They always talk about how you can't date a guy that you view as ugly at least. Because, beauty's in the eye of the beholder. Don't date an ugly guy. Because if you do, he's going to think he's the better looking one in the relationship. I think Jesse kind of has a bit of that kind of mentality because he's dating Billie. All of a sudden, he thinks he's Billie's level. He did gain a lot more fame since being with her. He isn't, and he never has been, and he never will be bigger than her. So I actually think that's the craziest line. Well, it's the least accurate line, I guess. Feel like Alejandro when she gaga on my goo. Now we know goo goo gaga is the way that we describe how babies talk. And it's definitely a reference to his relationship with Billie. You shouldn't even be able to be comfortable enough to say a line like this. It's too gross. It's too gross. I don't like it. I don't like you referencing yourself as an old man and that you're robbing the cradle. I don't like comparing a woman to a baby, to an infant, to a child, to anything like that. I think it's very gross, and I don't stand by that. As much as I love his music, and especially the Neighborhood's music, this I want to crawl out of my skin just having to talk about this. I really do feel that way. I don't like this. So then he also says the following. She been listening to me since 2013. Same though. Okay. I know she got daddy issues. Welcome to the family. She said, Jesse, baby, won't you write a song about me? I said, I got a whole album. I could drop it next week. Okay, that got a whole album line. Again, screaming clout chasing, but that's just my opinion. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger. Shorty, come with me. Watch your money get longer. Turn into an all-star in a pair of Converse. Blew up by myself, feel like the Una. Finish the line there. I'm not going to say that out loud. Interesting. Again, he talks about watch your money get longer. Dude, she is making your money get longer. Don't get it twisted. I almost think that he really believes this. I think he believes that he is the better one in the relationship, is the more successful one, is this big hot shot now. And it's just so far from the truth. He, again, is nowhere near Billie's level, and he never will be. It's almost shocking. And I actually think the worst part of this song is the fact that Billie Eilish is featured in it. She has credits for additional vocals, because there's a part where, I forgot exactly what she says, but it's very clear that she's speaking in the song. This song is just disrespectful. It's very disrespectful to Billie. And I'm not even a Billie Eilish fan, really, but she just deserves respect. I obviously think she deserves respect. I don't think she should be disrespected just because I'm not the biggest fan of your music. Doesn't make any sense. And so despite this, despite these lyrics, despite the way he talks about her, and also, I forgot to mention this, the Halloween costumes of him being an old man and her being a baby. Gross. Disgusting. I feel like once Billie was dressed as a baby and her boyfriend was dressed as an old man, that should have gave her the ick, to be honest. That would have given me the ick for sure. That's something you shouldn't even want to think about. You know what I mean? Ugh, it's just so gross. But anyway, Billie's supporting Jesse right now. She's talked about how he's the homie, her homie forever. She went to his listening party. So clearly she doesn't have any ill feelings towards Jesse. She doesn't hate him or anything. But what I want to say is I've heard people talking about how one of the biggest reasons why their relationship is so wrong is the fact that they met when she was 16 and he was 26. I don't necessarily agree with that notion by itself. Let me explain. I don't think just the fact that somebody meets someone once when they're young, when they're underage, and then years later they date on its own is necessarily a bad thing. Why? Because unless they were in communication with each other between those 2 points in their lives, and unless the guy or just whoever's older was genuinely grooming them to eventually be in a sexual relationship with them, I don't think there's anything wrong with the fact that, hey, these people meet at a time where one of them is a child, so they're just meeting and that's it. And then years later, the younger person is fully grown and they're into each other. I personally don't think that that's the weird part of this whole situation. Now, it would be different if they had a relationship back then. When I say relationship, obviously I don't mean romantic. I just mean if he was trying to be her mentor, if they were hanging out a lot back then okay, then I would be like, that's grooming. But just meeting somebody and then 4 years later when they're a fully grown adult, then dating them then, by itself, I don't think that's wrong necessarily. Of course, you got to take it on a case-by-case basis, but just generally speaking, I don't think that that is inherently what's wrong. Now, the age difference when they started dating was she was 20 and he was 30. That's bad. That's bad. Is that the worst age difference? No. But it's too risky. And specifically, an age difference like that you have to take on a case-by-case basis, and this case is not a case that is working in Jesse's favor at all. Not in my opinion anyway. So not only are they 10 years apart, we also have this dynamic where she's a really big fan of his. So like I said earlier with the lyrics in his song, she'd been listening to me since 2013. That's 10 years of being a fan of someone, or 9 years by the time they started dating. That is a long time. And it doesn't even take that long to become a super fan of anybody. We all know this. We know how fast it is when someone blows up and everybody loves them. So for someone to be a fan of someone else for that long and then get into a relationship with them, I think that's the worst part of this relationship. Of course, it's the age too, but it's the age combined with the fan factor. And I think that's why she's still supporting him to this day, why she never has anything negative to say about him, despite how disrespectful he's speaking about her in his music, despite the fact that, at least in my opinion, he's very clearly clout chasing when it comes to his relationship with her. And yet she's still, if you even see her in clips and photos, she just looks at him with this admiration. And I think that's another thing too. Along with all the clout that he's getting, along with the fact that he gets to be with somebody so beautiful, so successful, so talented, it's not just the clout that he's getting. I think it's also specifically the admiration. And I think that comes from his desire to be famous, his desire for fame, and all these Leo placements in his chart. I know I'm kind of joking with that, but I'm almost serious because it does kind of fit his psychological profile. Not that I know his entire psychological profile, but he strikes me as somebody who wants to be really famous. And again, those were his own words. I cannot find it on the internet. I said this earlier, but I'm telling you, he said this. He wants to be famous. He wants to be Justin Timberlake level famous, I'm telling you. So this is a man who has a desire for fame and what comes with fame, which is the adulation. And I think Billie is huge. She is kind of the representative for the underground artists in the 2010s. She kind of is the one that actually came out from being underground and in that general genre that Jessie, The Neighbourhood, Lana Del Rey, that they all were kind of in, and blasted into superstardom. She was the only one to really, I mean, Lana's kind of becoming more mainstream now, but Lana's music doesn't get played on the radio, you know? Billie's does all the time. So he gets that fame from her, and fame is the big thing that he wants. And he doesn't just want fame, he wants praise as well. So this is definitely a man with a big ego, and it explains his lyrics. It explains him talking about he's on the top and she's on the bottom. I'm like, are you serious? Again, he must be speaking literally, because there's just no way. There's just no way he really thinks that he's above her in any way. Except to get maybe height. He's taller than her. That's it. That's all he's got. Yeah. It's very dangerous to be with somebody who is like that psychologically, who has a big ego and who wants to be praised and who wants fame. That's already a sticky situation, even if you're the same age as somebody. Now imagine they're 30 and you're 20. Imagine that. Or now they're 31 and you're 21. I almost feel sad. I almost feel sad for Billie. Not that I feel nothing for Billie. I just mean, as far as I can tell, it seems like she's not really being super harmed by him, as far as we could tell. And that's my number one thing that I care about in these situations is how is the potential, I don't want to use the word victim, how is the potential vulnerable person, I'll say that, because she's vulnerable. I don't know if she's been hurt by him. I don't know if there's any sort of abuse or anything. I don't want to go that far when I don't know anything yet. So how is this potentially vulnerable person doing? That's what I care about. And she seems to be doing fine. And I am going to keep an eye out for her and an ear out for anything that's going on with this situation, any developments with this situation. But that being said, I hope she's okay. I hope Billie's okay. I hope one day she wakes up and realizes how much he's just using her for clout and either dogs on him or calls him out for it or just gets back at him in a way that's fair, in a way where he really gets what he deserves. Either he gets disgraced or she just finds a way to just like cut his sales or something. I don't know. I don't want the neighborhood to suffer because I don't think the rest of the band should suffer. But I don't like this situation. I don't like what he's doing. I don't like what he has done. And I think Billie deserves better. I think Billie is better. At least in terms of their careers, she's better. And this is icky. I don't like this. I don't like this at all. Do any of you guys remember when he was dating Devin? When Jessie was dating Devin? Man, I got introduced to Devin through Jessie and ended up loving her more than him. She has great vlogs, great sense of style, very bubbly personality, very beautiful, and man, they were so likable as a couple. And I don't know what made them break up. But man, if we could just go back to those days, it'd be nice. But again, he wanted to be famous during those days too. So I can't even really act like, oh, if we were back in those days, everything would be fine. Not really. Yeah, so overall, I think the biggest issue with Billie and Jessie, or the biggest issues are one, I think he's trying to use her for clout. Two, she's a huge fan of his. And three, she's a lot younger than him. And specifically, she is in her early 20s. So it's not like she's 30 and he's 40. So you got this 20-year-old fan with a guy who wants to be famous and wants to have clout. And she's actually the one that's famous and has the clout. And you got this guy joking about how he's an old man robbing the cradle. And she feels like she's grown enough to make her own decisions. And it's not that she's not, but the way that she's going about it is in an immature way. It kind of shows her youth with the way that she's just dressing up as a baby and going along with the jokes. It ironically just kind of shows how young she really is, and it makes it worse. And I'm glad that they broke up because I think she definitely can do better and I think she deserves better. And again, I hope she realizes what's going on with him. And I hope he gets some sort of justice. Something that's fair for the fact that he's using her the way he's using her. And again, that's my opinion that he's using her. I think most people share that opinion, but I just want to make that clear. So, those are my opinions on the Billie Eilish and Jesse Rutherford situation, on the lyrics that he's been writing about her, and the recent developments in their relationship in general. So, I'm Epic Charismatic, and I would love to hear your opinions on this video and this situation in general in the comments section below. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and subscribe to my channel. And I hope to see you all in the next video. Peace.